Welcome to Access, Module 1 Textbook Project. Access is a large database where it holds a very large amount of information that can be stored in ways that is easily accessible, can be sorted, filtered, and retrieved in various formats. So let's begin by opening the textbook project. So you have the reading and the start file. You will not need the support file, so go ahead and choose the start file. And we'll open this up, enable the editing, and immediately save it. File, save as, put it in a location that you've been saving all of your documents. And if you have any parentheses number at the end, make sure you get rid of it. And this one will be called, so 1 underscore jobs. Make sure there's an underscore before your last name and there's nothing at the end. And save. Enable the editing again. A trusted resource. So over on the left-hand side, you have what's called objects, and they're broken up into categories: tables, queries, forms, and reports. And there's several different examples of tables, a couple of queries, and some forms. Over here is what's called a shutter button, and if you click it, it'll close it so you have more room on your screen for other things. To reopen it, just click it again. Usually you keep it open. So what we want to do is, right now it looks like there's nothing on our screen. Until we actually start double clicking these items here, they'll appear in the middle of your screen. So the first thing we're going to do is open the industries table. So make sure you're in the table area and then double click industries, and it opens up, and it happens to just be 2 columns wide, and there's nothing in the right hand side. So the next thing we're going to open is the companies table. So we're staying in table, companies, and this one has a lot more information. Take a note that the industry, so under industry for the airflow manufacturing, so the company name, airflow manufacturing, the industry is construction. We'll go back to that later. And then we want the jobs table. So everything that we are opening, if you notice, they are remaining open. So the first one we selected was industries, then we chose the companies table, and we just did the jobs table. So everything is remaining open. The next thing we're going to do is, for the query, open the one that's jobs by industry. Okay, and this one has quite a few columns, and they're labeled industry, company name, city, state, job title, and starting salary. And then we'll also open, so again, we're looking at the airflow manufacturing, and the industry is construction. So go ahead and double click construction, and then we're going to click the down arrow, which are more options, and choose aerospace, the first one. And then once we click out of this one, you'll notice that these other 2 construction will also change to aerospace. And then we're going to look for a form that's called company entry. So go ahead and double click that. And notice how this is done almost like Excel with the columns and rows. Wait till what the forms looks like. It's a little bit different. It's filling in individual forms, but it's got the same categories. So there's just a little bit of difference between this, more or less looks like an Excel spreadsheet, and this is a form. You can have all the same information, it's just broken out into a form versus a spreadsheet style. it has over here the next button. So as you click the next button, it goes to the next entry, and so forth. And then the next one we're going to open is the report that's called Jobs by Highest Salary. And this is more official looking. This would be something that you would print in the end, an official form. And if we scroll down to where the airflow manufacturing, notice the industry is no longer construction, it's aerospace. So if you change it in one table and anything that's related to that topic, which was the industry with the company name Aeroflow, it changes all of them. So it's very consistent and helpful if you change one table. If it happens to be in a query or a form or a report, it'll be consistent and change all of them for you at the same time. So now we're going to close all of these because we don't need them. So pointing on the tabs at the top, if you right click, you can choose close. And we're going to keep one of them open, and that's the one that's called companies. So right click and close. I'm going to skip companies, right click and close. So I kept companies open. And now if we checked at the airflow manufacturing, it is now aerospace and no longer construction. So it repaired all of them. So in the book, they had you actually close this one as well, but you can keep it open because they want you to open it back up. The company's table. So open that back up. And the first one that we're in is the company ID number. And if you press tab, it moves from cell to cell. Or you could use enter, and that continues cell to cell, and then the next row, and so forth. Tab and enter work the same way. If you needed to go backwards, shift tab would work. So either tab or enter will work when you're moving from one cell to another. You can also, down at the very bottom, you have your status bar. You can also click the next record, and it just takes you down to the very next record. And you can use previous record, the last record, the first record, and the one next to it on the right there is if you wanted to completely put in a brand new one. And that's what we're going to do now. So we're going to click New Record, takes you to the very, very bottom, and the company name, so I'm going to press Tab. The company name is Jigsaw Company, and then Tab. For the industry, do not type information, use your arrow for your drop-down list and choose information there. And then Tab. Then you'll finish typing it in. Make sure you read everything, so you should have Jigsaw Company. Use your down arrow to choose information from the industry column and your description. Make sure there's no typos. And then the city is Dayton and the state is Ohio. Notice on the far left in yellow, this is called an edit record symbol because that's the actual active record that we are in. And then we're going to scroll up to item number 29, and they are not numerically in order. They're in order from a different way, and we'll get into that later. But we're looking for Wellman Bank. And what you want to do is double click Dallas, and it highlights it, and you're actually going to type Fort Worth. Another one we're going to edit is company ID number 28 for Cell First Incorporated. So for telecommunications, use your down arrow and instead select information, and then double click telecommunications and type in the word media. So I made a couple corrections. We can keep companies table open, and we're also going to open up the jobs table. So double click the jobs table, and to make the second item editable, click in the record selector. So just click in the gray spot and it selects the entire row, and we're actually going to delete this one. So go ahead and choose delete. Are you sure you want to delete this one record? And yes. Then we're going to choose File and Print. You get a little preview. Select Print Preview. And this is just a preview of what we were looking at. And we'll close out of the print. And then we'll close out of each tab. So again, right click and close, and right click and close. So you closed. And in Access, before you save, if you're going to submit this, you would have to always close out of everything before you're ready to save. Now we're going to create our own new table. So choose Create, choose Table Design, and we're going to fill in some information here, and I'm going to fill it in, then you can go ahead and put it. So once you've completed the field name and then you press Tab, it takes you over to the data type, and you can just click the down arrow and select whatever the book request. And this one is hyphenation, so you would click, not hyphenation, hyperlink. So we had auto number, 3 short text, and 1 hyperlink, which is the email address. So these are the column headings that you created. One of them, the very first one, you want it to automatically number for you, and these are short text, and then a hyperlink because it's an email. So those are just building the column titles, the fields. Now we're actually going to fill it in. So if you click, and it kind of looks like an Excel spreadsheet, and that's data sheet view. We're in design view, and if you click the bottom part, you could choose. Right now we're in design view, and we're going to go into data sheet view. So you can just click. You must first save, so go ahead and say yes. This one, what will it be called? I think it was contacts. And then notice when I click OK, it's going to come over here in my tables as a new one. Do we want a primary key? We're going to say no. And there you have contacts. So we're actually going to fill in some information here. So we're going to press Tab to start our first contact name, and we'll fill this in. And again, we'll use Tab and Tab for the phone number, and then Tab again for the email. Now, if you notice, the entire email cannot be seen, just like an Excel. If the column is not wide enough, if you hover up to the top part where the dividing line is, it changes to those double arrows. Double click and it'll make it as wide as it needs to fit all of the information. And then we're going to right click on contacts, save. I'm going to stop at this point and pick up on part 2.